It is not standard operating procedure to send armed agents into the home of a former president. And an attorney general who pretends otherwise is being dishonest with you. And to me, that's one other reason to impeach him. Then we get more information down in Florida about the Biden regime's abuse of Trump. Now, Judicial Watch had been in the lead in highlighting this, suing for the search warrants, and successfully so, to get access to the bogus warrants they used to justify the raid on Trump's home. And of course, we were calling out the hypocrisy or the 180 they did on documents issues, comparing and contrasting the attack on Trump over records with how they treated Joe, now we know how they were treating Joe Biden at the time. They were ignoring what he had done, but how they had previously treated President Clinton, Bill Clinton, over his sock drawer tapes. So we all knew that that raid was improper and dangerous from the get-go. There was no good faith basis for the warrant. They misled or withheld information, key information from the magistrate. And they sent in the FBI armed to the home of a former president over a document dispute. And it wasn't even a dispute because Trump had been telling the FBI and the Justice Department at the senior levels, you tell me what you want, I'll get it for you. What is it you need? And they followed it up with a raid less than 2 months later. So there were more details about the warrant that had been withheld from Judicial Watch and the American people. We weren't the only ones asking for it. The media was asking for it as well. And so Trump has been complaining about the raid, wanting to, I guess, seek some relief from the charges because the raid was sketchy and the abuse of him was sketchy by the Biden regime. And so there some details came out about the raid that are disturbing, including authorization for the use of force, deadly force, by the FBI. And here's the document. This is a document I think Trump had put out, a filing, a court filing. The order contained a policy statement regarding use of deadly force, which stated, for example, law enforcement officers of the Department of Justice may use deadly force when necessary. So let's go to the document. This is the document that they used, was part of the Trump raid materials. I want to go back to the other one. Policy statement, use of deadly force. So this is what they were operating under. These were the kind of the rules of engagement. Law enforcement officers of the Department of Justice may use deadly force only when necessary. That is, when the officer has a reasonable belief that the subject of such force poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to the officer or to another person. And then there's other restrictions on the use of deadly force. So they couldn't shoot Trump, evidently, if he was running away in a car. Does that make you feel better, everyone? And the government's response, and the FBI's gotten very nervous because this has come out, because people are outraged that they were planning with guns for potential violence in the raid of a home controlled by the Secret Service, protecting the former president of the United States and his family and everyone else living there. I mean, they had a medic on standby. Let's go to that medic document. Why would they need a medic? Why did the FBI need guns at all? And by the way, the other documents show they weren't even wearing FBI polo shirts or insignia on their shirts. They didn't need to be armed. And the response from the Biden regime is, well, this is just a standard document. Well, if it's a standard document, it further highlights why they should never have been raiding Trump's home. If standard operating procedure is potential violence by the FBI in the conduct of a raid or the enforcement of a subpoena, indeed, then they should have thought twice about doing it. Indeed, as I've noted and has been publicly reported for now 2 years maybe, well, it's a year now, the FBI initially opposed this raid and they were ordered to do it by political goons in the upper reaches of the Justice Department, Biden's political operatives and appointees. I highlighted it in my Twitter. You got to follow me on Twitter. Follow Judicial Watch on Twitter. I'll tell you what the truth is. Because sometimes the media reports the truth, believe it or not, but they don't want to kind of follow up on it. FBI agents wanted to end the Trump probe, but the politicos running the FBI and DOJ for Biden raided this man's home over the objections by agents. And we know that they were messing around with Melania's bedroom and they went into the Barron's room. Here's the video. Here are the pictures. They were taking pictures of the former First Lady's room. It's like, it was like a panty raid. Sick. Child's bedroom. So Barron's home, his bedroom was subject to scrutiny. And they went in there ready to raid the homes of innocent Americans who happened to be in Mar-a-Lago. Look at this document about them having a skeleton key to get into every room in Mar-a-Lago. Remember, it's also a resort, as best as I understand it, and they members can stay there. Guests can stay there. And look at this document. No, the one about the skeleton key.
Not sure if I have.
I thought we looked at it. Well, anyway, it's there. I mean, they were prepared to go room by room and see who was in each of the rooms and open the doors up if necessary. Again, they had no basis to do so. This wasn't the raid of a drug den. This wasn't the raid of a mafia headquarters. It was the raid of Mar-a-Lago, a place controlled and protected by the Secret Service in terms of security. And they were prepared. Here, if Trump came, they were prepared to engage with him and his security team. They said it was all planned. Well, obviously it wasn't, because his security team, evidently based on this whole document, wasn't aware of what they were planning. Who in the Secret, were they talking to everyone in the Secret Service who was protecting Trump at the time? I don't read this to suggest they were. And here it is. Should Mar-a-Lago guest reception be unwilling to provide a list of occupied guest rooms, search team will knock on each guest door to determine occupation status, request a map, list of rooms, and skeleton key card for all rooms. So if you were staying there, the FBI could have kicked in your door, practically speaking. And then it's bad when Garland is rolled out to try to defend it. I kind of had a watch video about Garland's desperate defense here and spin online here. Let's run that video of Garland.
On that one, that allegation is false, and it is extremely dangerous. The document that is being referred to in the allegation is the Justice Department standard policy limiting the use of force. As the FBI advises, it is part of the standard operations plan for searches, and in fact, it was even used in the consensual search of President Biden's home.
This Attorney General is trying to pretend a consensual search that they were kind of forced to undertake because they targeted Trump on these issues while protecting Biden is the same as a raid by the FBI on someone's home in a surprise fashion. Because FBI agents were armed and had this standard document, and they were there with the permission of the President of the United States, it's the same as the FBI raiding the home of a former president in a surprise raid while he was out of town. Or maybe they weren't even sure he was out of town because they had that provision in there in case he came back. It is not standard operating procedure to send armed agents into the home of a former president. And an attorney general who pretends otherwise is being dishonest with you. And to me, that's one other reason to impeach him. Should have been impeached long ago. He's going to be found in contempt. So Judge Cannon, the judge in Florida handling this case is has to go through all of this, and I don't know what's going to happen with Trump's efforts to kind of curtail this prosecution and end it. But the Justice Department is out of control. The Attorney General's out of control. The FBI is out of control. Judge Merchan's out of control. Bragg is out of control. Fannie Willis is out of control. And you don't want people who are out of control running prosecutions against Americans, let alone former sitting presidents. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.